Welcome to the Mystic Millionaire Podcast, where wealth is energy, success is a mindset, and abundance is your birthright. I am Danielle Amos, your host and mentor, here to help you unlock prosperity, embody confidence, and manifest a life you love. Take a breath, align with your truth, and let's manifest millions. Today, I'm honored to bring you Allie Tymo to the podcast. Allie is a brand strategist, energetic embodiment coach who helps purpose-led entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses using strategies anchored in authenticity, human design, and impactful marketing. With over a decade of experience, Allie partners with visionary CEOs to craft magnetic brands through powerful messaging, marketing, and aligned leadership. She also hosts the Inside the Brand podcast, offering insights into building authentic brands and souls. Allie and I really connected over her love for human design. She actually asked me for my chart ahead of time and then brought to my attention some specifics. And she did it in such a way that this conversation will allow you to help you understand your energy type or strategy or where you have open centers. She also makes and gives us very practical tools on how we can use human design to enhance our life and really understand ourselves, but also our children. So if you go into the subscriber bonus episode, her and I talk about our kids and what strategies they use and what energy type they are and how they make the difference in parenting. So go listen. And if you're intrigued about human design, this episode is for you. Allie, thanks for being here on the Mystic Millionaire Podcast. We just had a really great time in the behind the scenes, and I feel like we basically just recorded an episode for the subscribers. Thank you for being here in the studio with me here in Kelowna. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Good. Thank you so much. This is so amazing. This is so beautiful.
Thank you. So, Mystic Millionaire. So, Mystic, for me, what you do with human design falls right in alignment with what I do. And it's a huge compliment to the work I do. I don't bring a lot of it, although my clients find out what their design is when they come to me, and then I use it as a very high level in my communication.
Yeah.
I'm definitely no expert. So, I'm very much looking forward to this conversation today. And the fact that you asked me about my chart and had a look at that, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. So human design, how do you use it with your clients? Because I know you have a background as a life coach and also marketing and strategy.
Yeah.
So why human design, and how do you use it with a client today? What does that look like?
Yeah, so human design being our energetic blueprint and being that the energy is the foundation of everything, why wouldn't we go to the root of who you are? And I think so often we're in the world and we've lived a full life and we come with our own patterns and we come with our own conditioning. And when you get into the world of entrepreneurship, it's easy to be like, oh, look at Danielle over there. She's doing so great. If I just kind of replicate what she's doing, then I'm going to achieve the same kind of success or whatever it is, right?
And that's not true.
And that's not true at all. It just disconnects us from our own power, from our own intuition, from our own gifts. And often our own gifts we are blind to, or we minimize, we play small. And so I find that using human design acts as a beautiful anchor point to be like, here you go. Here are your strengths. Here's where you can lean into. And when you're in the middle of a launch and no one's buying and you start to freak out or you want to burn your business to the ground, these are the patterns that are playing out in real time. Let's tweak that. Let's meet that and move through that so that you don't let it take you down, so that resistance no longer is a boulder. It's a stone you can just pick up and move to the side.
One thing that I noticed with understanding more about my design, to your point, is the things that I thought were problems about the way that I operated. Actually, once I looked at my design, it made a lot of sense why I'm that way, but also I could see them as strengths. So, for example, I'm a one line, and that perfectionism, I used to beat myself up about wanting to be too perfect. It was like this perfect storm. And
Faking your line 3 too.
yeah. And the fact that I'd read so much. So I have an old boss that for my corporate career, and she used to tell me that I spent too much time for doing the research and putting like the things together. And I remember it like really hitting home as like, that's a problem. Like, I'm effective. I take too long. And I can hear it even like as a child, I'd never knew I knew enough. So I'd read the book, but then I would never go out and want to like do the presentation or do the project for school because there were 5 other books that I was supposed to read before I could actually write that paper. Whereas I would see all my friends read the one book and write the paper. But for me, it was never done.
Yeah.
And so that was always a thing, like always a problem until I found out, well, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Who are and how can I leverage it?
Right. And you being a forever student, I find, especially when you're in a role of leadership, to always come back to that, student mindset is so valuable because you never want to stop. Especially when it's something that lights you up, and being a generator, it's like your sacral energy so juicy. And then you're like, this lights me up and I don't want to stay on the surface. I'm going to go deeper and deeper. And then to bring that wisdom to your clients is so valuable. And I just love that you even touched on that point of the perfectionism, because that line 3 is trial and error, right? So you're meant to trial and error, and just like the process gets to be messy and it gets to be cool. And there's no such thing as failure. It's feedback.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to like logically know that, and then to actually feel that in your body when sometimes, you've been taught that like, no, you need to behave a certain way or do things in a certain way. And if you don't meet this standard, then it does mean that you didn't do good enough or whatever it is, right? But then to just be like, no, that's my process.
Yeah.
But
I didn't realize that it was actually my process. So I am such a good trial and error, actually. Like I put things out before they're perfect, but I still have perfectionism. But it was mainly like I wouldn't stop until it looked a certain way. And I didn't realize that was trial and error. I just kind of thought like it was part of just what I did to get to that end goal. And so what you see a lot of times in like even the products that I do, it's never the finish piece. It's always the middle. Does that make sense?
yeah, and I think like a really beautiful thing that you can do, and maybe you are already doing, is letting your people into that process. It doesn't have to look perfectly polished right away. Like you can just let people in your process, and that is so cool to be able to see that.
I actually get a lot of comments from clients who come in and they're like, they'll laugh, they'll come into my world. They're like, okay, the videos in your portal from when you started, like it gives me so much hope because they're so bad. And like when I started recording the podcast before, it was a Mystic Millionaire, it was the prosperity practice. And I have episodes and I didn't realize I was doing them on Zoom and it was my voice only. And my team kept the videos and they put them on YouTube, but I didn't know. So it's like no makeup, no hair time. And it's like awful. It's like 6 a.m. and my face is really close to the camera and they're all over YouTube. And my clients like a comment. They're like, we love seeing these old videos of before Danielle was the Danielle that you see here.
Yeah, they get to see the evolution, and it's so cool. I love that. I love that. And then like to not even know what's happening.
Oh, they are.
And then B, to be like, all right, I'm embracing this.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't rewatch a thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Because of the perfectionism piece.
Either.
Yeah.
Whatever I did back then, it's fine. I don't need to look at it again.
So for you with human design, how has it made a difference in your life? So once you learned, and what is your design, by the way?
So I'm a 2/4 splenic projector.
Okay.
So there's so many layers to really what felt like the greatest liberation of my life. Because one, being a projector, like most of the world are generators and manifesting generators. They have that juicy sacral energy. And I'm like, why can't I keep on?
Yeah.
Am I late? Am I just inconsistent? Am I broken? Like all these things where we can make ourselves wrong. And then that becomes our identity. So to free myself of that and to be like, no, my energy just functions differently. And projectors are known to be like, we don't have to, work 12 hours. We get to be really efficient with our time. It's like, I'm efficient. And especially when I learned how to take care of myself in the way that I hadn't been taking care of myself because I didn't give myself full permission, that was such a game changer. My husband is a generator. So he was like, I want to go do yard work. Like, why are you wanting to just like lay by the pool? And then to switch that, and he's like, go do your projector thing, and I'm going to do the yard work.
The dream. Sometimes like I'm a little bit like projector envy, but I realize it's just like give yourself permission, Danielle, to go like not to do.
Yeah. It's too, right? Like there's still like the energy centers come into play and taking on other people's energy. So you still need rest for sure. But I've found with generators, you'll need rest like anybody. We're still human, but not as much. Like there's like a restlessness where you're like, okay, I'm complete and I have a new idea and I'm going to go and do this. And like, yeah, so that's definitely a piece of it. And then,
And especially when we're lit up, like it's like that's the only time that I can. If not, it's depleting. It goes the other way if I do it from a place of like I'm supposed to show up.
Right, exactly. And you in particular, you have a completely open heart center. And so you have a lot of sacral energy to say yes to things that are no's from a place of like, oh, I can do this thing because this person will like me, or I have to prove my worth, or
There's so much of that.
But there is, right? The like wobbly boundaries, whatever it is. And like that is just like kinks in your energetic hose where you're like, oh, I'm a generator. I'm supposed to be lit up, but why am I so tired? And you're like, well, where are the kinks in the hose?
Okay, talk to me more about that because I feel like I could have known that 18 years ago before my marriage.
Right? No. Oh my gosh.
But like the open heart. So talk to me more about what that means.
Yeah. So within your energy centers, there are 9 of them. And I can't remember all the ones that you have open, I don't think, but there are. Like your head is open, your root is open, and those are both pressure points too. And so the head is like so many ideas, and you're like, which one do I choose? Which can lead to paralysis, where like I have so much that I'm not doing anything.
And I find I pick up, like I can be influenced by other people. So I've got to really take my space to make a decision. And especially when the people around me are very sure in their idea. So it was a dynamic I had with my own old COO. She was very strong and in her ideas. And I had to like literally like leave the Zoom or leave the room because I needed space because I could feel I was being so influenced. And I didn't know what my decision, like I didn't know if I was lit up or not. It was just like, felt like
bombarded. Yeah. Because that's that open root too, right? Which is like a lot of stress from your environment. Like you will feel that deeply. Or if somebody else has a defined root, if they ask you to do something, it's going to feel urgent. So you're going to feel the pressure. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to go and do this thing because it'll alleviate that pressure. But it's just like you're a hamster in a wheel. It just keeps going. It doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a big piece. And with the open heart, that is like, because with the open centers, that's where a lot of the conditioning can happen. And that sounds bad. And I don't want anyone looking at their chart and being like, oh, and I'm these open centers. There's so much wisdom there. But again, it's like within that, there's different frequencies. So obviously, like if you've done a lot of boundary work, then you can have an open center and operate in a really high frequency. But if you haven't and it's in a low frequency, then that's when people are going to sense that you don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does this always happen to me? You know? And it's like, well, it's playing out in your heart center. I can see even with my kids, my son has an open heart center and my daughter is defined. She is so naturally confident and sure of herself. And if he makes a mistake, he's so self-deprecating. He like speaks poorly to himself. So I know that I just get to like affirm him even more and build up that confidence because I know that there's like an energetic disposition to being really hard on himself.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Right as you were describing that, I'm like, oh man, I can see, like, I really want to pull up my daughter's chart and see what she has because like, what a great way to parent, to your point. And so your son needs more of the affirmations and reminders of who he is. And your daughter, it's not that she doesn't. Like sometimes when we know that our child has it, you know, we forget to affirm it. But you know that she naturally.
Exactly. Like she's looking in the mirror and she's like, I look so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, girl, you got it. Yeah, definitely. And then the other piece that came to my mind too is the open emotional center, which I have, you also have.
And where is that?
So that's like right by the heart. So the heart is like that little triangle. And then the emotional is like solar plexus.
Okay.
And so that being open, that's such a gift because you will be able to sense how other people feel. They'll walk in a room and you get the pull. But also you can take on the responsibility of those emotions where you're like, well, I know how you feel. I can fix it.
You know what? Like you're definitely going to be here. Yeah.
And then it's knowing these things as well. It's not like you're just victim to them. It's like, oh, I know these things about myself. So I know that my energetic practices and the additional tools that I use, I need like extra energetic protection because I know if I walk into a room, that's probably why I'm exhausted leaving. I'm like allowing my energy, like all this extra energy to be absorbed into my body that you're not designed to hold on to. Like you're not designed to hold on to the energy in your root or your emotional center. So when you're doing things like whether it's energetic work or whether it's just going for a hike or a run, like that with the intention, especially of like letting go of that additional energy, it makes such a big difference in how we show up in our relationships, how we're parenting, in our businesses. Like it's got the ripple effect going on.
That's huge. And I love that you give a practical way to let go of that, like a very easy, tangible way to do that, because that's important for me. I'm like, okay, that's great information, but like, what do I do with that information?
Exactly. And I think that's the piece too, where we can really overcomplicate things. We're like, oh, if I'm going to be aligned, then I have to like do all of these things and hire all these healers. And not that's not great, but knowing that like we actually have a lot of power and a lot that's in our control to feel optimal.
So because my root and my head, the ajna, are not defined, and my heart and the emotional center, then is it mainly the emotional center and the root that it's important that I clear the energy and do things like go in nature and make sure that I'm cleansing?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's all connected for sure, but I think those points, they'll feel it the most. And then even in regards to like all these ideas and things that you want to bring to fruition, sometimes it's like, ooh, this is so great and have the sacral hit and like I'm going to go and do it. But sometimes it is nice to be like, hold on, I can feel the energy here.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it into my body because your body holds the wisdom. Like nobody should be making decisions with their minds, even though that's what we're taught to do, be logical, do the pros and cons list. And we're just like mentally spiraling all the time and it's not serving us.
Yeah. Talk to me about how you make the decision with your body. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, and for me, it's different. And this depends on, so if anyone's looking at their chart, it's found in your authority. So your authority is how you make decisions. So for you, it's sacral and it's your gut instinct. For me, it's splenic. So that's my intuition. And that functions differently from sacral because the sacral is like, it's like, yes, no, you feel it's the classic gut instinct.
Yeah.
So when I found out.
And it's fast, right?
It's fast. It's very immediate. And when I found out that I didn't have that, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense for me. And mine being splenic, your intuition is very quiet. It's also instant, but it's like more like a whisper. It can be really nonsensical. Like it took a lot of time for me to cultivate a relationship because I was so disconnected from my own intuition and I would historically be sourcing out to other people or thinking really logically. So for me, getting in my body meant really paying attention to like energetic subtleties. And sometimes too, and I find even for sacrals, it is like literally getting into your body of like dancing, putting your hands like on your womb, having that body connection and even starting with small decisions for sacrals, like how can you trigger your sacral? And it could be as easy as, well, what am I going to wear today? And instead of asking an open question, like, do I want to wear, a dress or do I want to wear like these pants? Yeah. And it's like in this or that situation.
Love that.
And then that's going to trigger it. Even like for going for dinner or something. Yeah. It's like, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. Yeah. Well, do you want sushi or do you want pizza?
Yeah.
Oh, I want sushi.
Okay, so I talk to my team about this all the time, and I knew it before I knew my design.
Yeah.
But they'll ask me, they'll say, okay, so what's the theme for June for our Success Society? And I'm like, ugh.
You're like, my head is like, what's going?
There's so many ideas. Yeah. I'm like, not sure. But I've trained them now and they come with scenarios. So even like the marketing, they're like, what do you want to do for Generosity June? I'm like, don't know. But they're like, do you want this or this for Generosity June? I'm like, it's so easy for me to choose. So
Yeah.
That's a rule for them. It has to be a this or that.
Yeah.
Question?
And it's so important to know that about yourself. And especially when you're running a company and you have all these other energies of team members and how that dynamic works and flows.
Yeah.
That's where knowing things like that and these other pieces in human design can be really helpful.
I also had to train myself that if it wasn't like a hell yes, then it was still a no. Like if I didn't really feel, that was a big learning curve for me because and maybe that's because of the open other areas like you talked about, but I would compromise. It was like kind of a yes, so it's a yes.
Yeah. You're like, well, I think people like this.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
logically makes sense.
But it wasn't a hell yes.
Yeah.
A little harsh to say it's a no then.
Right. You're like, I don't want to be that.
No,
Like the deconditioning from the good girl. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And knowing that your energy is so felt. So you showing up in a leadership position, it's so important that you're like, everything feels juicy, everything feels alive and feels really good because then other people will be like, I want whatever she has,
Amazing. Yeah. And as a projector, you tell me if I'm right here, you can feel that energy and you project it back. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I love working with generator and even my husband and I have a co-working space. And when we first moved to Kelowna, we didn't, and we were separate. And I'm so much more productive now that we're in our co-working space together.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm just like picking up his juicy sacral energy and like even though we're not working on the same things, like I can definitely feel that and it feels like so life-giving. I just have to remember that I need to decompress and release it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And take the rest, take the downtime when you.
Yeah. Like I'm going to go sauna right now. Like,
yeah. And the projector and generator, are they often good pairs to like be working together or
I love the dynamic. I mean, it's so nuanced, right? Because people, and at the same time, like projectors we just have so much insight and we can see blind spots that often people can't see. We just have this wisdom. So to be able to add that to the generators who are just like, I'm ready for takeoff and I'm going to go and do all of these things. And then to collaborate in that way is a really great match for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what have you found about your own design that like one thing, whether it was something about your lines or the way that you respond or what happens when you're not in alignment, what really made the difference for you? Like when did you find out about yourself that you like totally transformed the way that you show up?
I mean, I think that sometimes we have our natural way of being and we intuitively know what is correct for us, but then we tell ourselves that it's incorrect, so we work against it. So even what you were saying around like, well, this doesn't light me up, but a no feels too harsh, so maybe I'll just like wiggle my thought process over here, my boundaries over here. And for me, especially when it comes to how I took care of myself and being a projector and needing rest, but also I'm a 2/4. And so the line 2 is a natural, but also the hermit. And like, I need alone time to process. And my line 4 is like the networker. I love being around people. And
Interesting.
Right? It's the duality. Yeah. So knowing how to honor the duality and being like, hey, I can come out and I can do all the things and I can be extroverted. But really, my like conscious line is line 2 and I'm introverted and I need that time alone. And especially, I found human design when I already had 2 kids. So being a mother and then being like, but I need alone time. Like this is not a luxury. This is a necessity. And to be able to just fully and unapologetically ask that and claim that for myself, like this is what I'm doing.
That's bold.
Yeah, because if I don't, then you're just getting a depleted version of me and you don't want that and I don't want that. So that was definitely a massive thing of just like to fully claim what I need and have that be honored.
And I love how you frame that. It's like you're not getting the best version of me if I don't honor this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's all areas. And I think when you're showing up and not even when you're doing big things, but when everybody's so multifaceted and we all have really big and busy lives. And I think that there's so many ways that we can put ourselves on the back burner. And especially women are just so conditioned to be like, I'll take care of me later. Like, it's all good. So to just be able to really look at what you need and to be like, No, and I love using human design because you're like, I have a chart here. Like, here's a thing. Like, this isn't in my head. Like, this is literally what my energetic blueprint says that I need.
Yeah.
So now you're faced with like, oh, I can't make excuses anymore because now I know better. And then if I don't honor myself, then I'm actually like just consciously sacrificing parts of who I am. And who wants that?
Yeah. We've talked about human design as far as the energy type, the lines, and then you've talked to me about some of my opened centers. And I know human design is way more complex than that. There are parts of human design that really light you up that maybe aren't so surface level, that are like more complex to understand.
Oh, I mean, I find that, well, one, a lot of people attach themselves just to their type. And when you're a 1 out of 5, because there's 5 energy types, that's really not individualized. So going deeper than the type is definitely important. I think going into like the gates and channels is so interesting, but so many people haven't actually fully integrated the other pieces. And even if they're, I think it's easy to see them as surface level, but they're so foundational, and it's one thing to know it, and it's a whole other thing to embody it. And especially like my sweet spot that I really love to work with are the energy centers, because there's so much in there about our patterns. And then when I'm working with clients, it's like, it's not just telling you the information and here's your human design reading and now it's like, while we're building your business, while we're marketing, while we're in launches, while we're designing strategies, then we're meeting up against those patterns in real time. And those are continuous, like our healing journey is just the onion, that never ending peeling back of the onion,
Yeah.
And so that always comes up. So I really love working with the energy centers, and every now and then kind of maybe we can dive into gates and channels and stuff like that. But it's kind of just like,
there's enough there with energy centers.
Yeah. I find that's what people need the most.
So let's backtrack a little bit and let's help people fully embody their energy type. So in their chart, once they know one of the 5 types that they are, how do they integrate that knowledge first? What would you have them look at? Is it their strategy? Like what parts?
Well, I would say, I mean, obviously knowing your energy type is so, it's like a big pivotal, not even a moment of change for people. Because I find that with human design, it's not like I'm telling you who you, like, who you are. Like, they don't know you better than you. Yeah. But it is like such a reflection, and it's such a, I'm seen. And so many of the people that I work with tend to be really sensitive, intuitive women who went a long time feeling like the black sheep, or like they didn't fit, or like they were too much. So to have someone really see them fully in their brilliance is massive. And your energy type alone can have a big piece of that. And then aside from that, really is the authority. Because I feel like our decision making, how we're disconnected from the way we're meant to make decisions, from the way that we're meant to show up, it's just been chipped away, and it's been replaced by our limiting beliefs, our self-doubt, like all these other things that get in the way. And to have that anchor of like, no, like you are the power, and just continuously having that mirror, I think is just, it's such a beautiful process to like really see someone like get that and step in and own that part of themselves.
And then integrate that and practice that way of making the decision. Yeah. Okay, good. And then with the line. So understanding that and integrating that knowledge. Is there something specific? I guess it's going to depend on what the line is.
And I think, especially when we're looking at it through the lens of like business and marketing, I think it is such a strategic advantage to know the lines and how they work and how you're meant to show up, because it speaks a lot to how you're meant to market, how you're meant to communicate, how you're meant to show up. So even like you being the 1-3, it's like you're meant to be the teacher and the student, and you're meant to show your process, the trial and error. You're meant to go first and then to kind of relay your knowledge back to your community. And it's like letting people in and seeing, all of what you've been through is so impactful. Whereas sometimes we can get in our heads and we're like, well, but I'm still evolving. Like I'm not where I want to be yet. And maybe because my process was messy, that maybe that means like I was an imposter, or that all these things that we can just make up in our mind, when really it just solidifies like that you're the leader who showed up when they weren't ready, and you did it anyway, and you took the action, and now you're here and your stage is set.
Yeah, I often say in the community and when I'm speaking to people about inviting them into our world, I'm like, you are walking along someone who's walking her talk in real time.
Yeah,
Like you're going to
exactly.
see behind the scenes before everything's perfect. And, right now I'm not hiding that I'm in the messy middle of a divorce and I'm showing up in a certain way anyway. And it's like, yeah, I get asked a lot by people on the outside, like, how are you doing that? But really, when you speak to the lines, it's like, I feel like it's just my way. Like, I don't have a choice. So,
Exactly. And for you, that is the way,
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's the thing, is like, you don't need something like human design to tell you that. You just feel that. But then having that knowledge of like, okay, cool. Like,
This
I'm
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But that is the thing that's going to come most naturally for you. And for so many people, sometimes the thing that comes most naturally to us, we have this conditioning of like, well, if I'm meant to grow a business, then it's supposed to be hard and it's supposed to feel difficult. Whereas like, especially for me too, being aligned too, whereas like my gifts come so naturally to me, then I minimize them and I'm like, well, I should probably do something that's harder. Like it's like we make things harder and more complicated for ourselves, where it's like sometimes the path of least resistance.
Totally. What's the path? And we get to be paid incredibly well for the things that come naturally to us. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's our gifts and our expertise or skill that we've honed over time, it's all of it wrapped into one.
Yeah, I love that. So using the energy centers, now let's go the next layer, deep, if you will.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of how you'd use it to coach someone in business or the way that they market?
Yeah. And I think that this is really where I love the like real time moments,
Okay.
where someone might be feeling that pressure because they have the open route, where they're feeling the pressure to do something and then to have a pause, to give permission to even have a pause, to be like, wait, let's like recalibrate here. I feel like
I find that really hard, if I can say that, to wait, because I'm meant to respond. And if there's nothing to respond to, I'm like, kind of like, this is what now? I can't just wait here and give you something to respond to?
Yeah, for sure. And do you find that then because there's like always something to respond, but do you find that you like search for something to respond to?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Or if it's like, again, it might be going back to like, if it's not a hell yes, and I'm still like, okay, but I got a response. And so if it's not a hell yes, then it's still something I can respond to. So am I making that a yes just so I can respond? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes within that process, when we like, it sounds very heady, where you're like, okay, wait, so if it's not this, then like, what's the thing? And then you're in your mind and then you're trying to figure it out and you're trying to like tinker around.
Yeah.
And I think there definitely is a point of like, wait, maybe the point is surrender right now, because I know that like I don't have to go and find something. I don't have to do the seeking. If I'm meant to respond, the universe is going to bring me something.
Totally.
I just have to trust that thing.
And I wrote that in my head. It's just like, wait. Yeah.
And so perfect. Yeah, definitely. And so sometimes it's those things, but again, and then you're like, oh, now my patterns of control are kind of coming in the way and they're taking over. And then, okay, well, what's actually what's really deeper here? And I find too, like, there's the energy centers, but also being a projector and being a splenic projector, there's so much intuitive wisdom that I hold too, where it's like, we can identify the pattern, and then through, just who I am, then we get to go deeper and like really unpack what the process is and what's coming up and how to move through that. Because sometimes we can identify what the problem is, but that's not actually it. That's the distraction, and there's something else that's actually going on.
Oh, okay. Tell me more. You've got me intrigued.
Well, so for example, like maybe we're trying to figure out the best offer, the best next move. And so we're like, oh, this needs a little refinement. Like I figured out the plan, I had the strategy, but then we're about to take off and we're like, no, I have to refine a little bit. But it's not actually the refining that you're meant to be doing. There's a fear of visibility that's under there. So now our protection mode is coming in the way, and it's the fears are bubbling up, which could live in the spleen, because those are our fear gates, show up in the spleen. And so we can look at that and then alchemize those fears. But, if you kind of stop at the surface, you'd be like, oh, it's just because I have to work on my positioning. Oh, it's just because I have to work on my messaging. I'm just going to make this a little bit better. But that's not actually what wants to be met in that moment.
And so you help your clients see past that first layer.
Yeah, definitely. And if we need to address that layer, then yeah, we do that. We work on the positioning and the offer and whatever needs to be done. But often there's something more deeper underneath there. And, there's clients that I currently work with that have multi-million-dollar businesses, and they're so successful, and they could stop at that level of success and be perfectly happy, but still feel creatively stuck. So even though they have this outward success, there are things that are going on that we can identify again in their energy centers, in their energetic blueprint, what's showing up. And it's like, well, why don't you feel safe to use your voice? And maybe there's something that's going on in the throat center. Maybe there's something going on somewhere else. So we can identify those points and then be like, okay, and now let's work on this. Okay. And so whether that's we process it in real time, or whether that's okay, well, here's the plan where you get to be held accountable and I get to collaborate with you and co-create with you to build the thing and do the thing. Because sometimes it's just the action we need to take. And that's enough to bust through any fears that are coming up so that you can see oh, this wasn't actually a real fear. I was scared to say this thing that I really wanted to say, and now I said it, and now all of a sudden the floodgates are open.
Amazing. Yeah. Very cool.
Right?
I'm I want to go in and pick your brain and all the thought. Of course, that's a one. I want to know what you know. What are you seeing? Blind sometimes.
Oh, for sure. And that's when I find it gets to be so fun, because then all of a sudden you're not trying to make everything perfect and controlling everything. You're wait, I'm the mad scientist. Yeah. And anything that comes up, that's just something I get to get curious about and unpack a little bit more. And it's not something that I understand.
It's understanding.
Yeah, having that self-awareness, but not having that self-awareness develop into a mental spiral where all of a sudden you're oh, I just spiraled for 6 months and didn't do anything in my business at all,
Yeah. Yeah, we can use it to empower us and take us to the next level rather than even be a victim to it and go down that. Yeah.
Exactly. I heard recently that we're never a victim of circumstance, we're a victim of perspective. And so when we kind of just alchemize that piece and be oh, wait, I hold the power here.
Yeah.
That alone is just such a shift. It seems so simple, but when you actually own that power that you have and stop thinking oh, well, I have to, go and hire this person or do this. When you're looking back at yourself and realizing, oh, I actually do have the answers.
It's nothing outside of you. And that's why the victim of the perception is such a powerful tool. It's the perception's within, and I can change that. Yeah. Take my power back.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So interesting. I know, honestly, why I do it.
Allie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Such a juicy convo.
I have 3 questions that I finish every interview with. Rapid fire questions. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready.
The first one is abundance in one word. Go.
Peace.
Yeah. Good. Second question is, because you're on the Mystic Millionaire Podcast and we talk about success and abundance and prosperity, what's one thing that's a non-negotiable indulgence that you invest in to keep yourself in a high, prosperous vibration?
Ooh, so one thing that I did in my old house that we sold, we had a sauna, and it was one of the things I was I missed so much. And we moved here and it had been a couple of years. And this past winter, I got the sauna again, and now it's midday saunas. Yeah, that's such a juicy indulgence where I'm that just completely rewires my whole nervous system.
And it sounds like it's really good for the projector side of you that needs some time, and the 2 side. Amazing.
Yeah.
Is it outside sauna or indoors?
It's indoors. We have our gym, and then the sauna's there.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's
great. The third question is about books. So, of course, I love reading. So, If you only had one book to read for the rest of your life, what book would that be?
There's two that come to mind. I remember when I first kind of, I guess, had what you may call like a spiritual awakening, and The Untethered Soul is just one of those books that just cracked me open, where you realize that, your mind and your thoughts are not always running the show. They don't have to run the show to really like come back to that place of self-love and deeper awareness. If I could just throw in,
Go for it.
The Big Leap. I think even like the concept of upper limiting yourself, that just like cracked me open, because any time that I could kind of reached a ceiling and thought that was enough, or was even like dimming down that experience, to even have the language of like, oh, I'm actually upper limiting my own joy.
Yeah.
I'm upper limiting my own abundance. And I get to like bust through these ceilings in order to experience, more joy, more abundance, more peace.
Yeah, and there is no limit.
And there is no limit. Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you for being here. Thanks for gifting our audience with your wisdom, your knowledge of human design and more, and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. This was such an incredible conversation. I'm so grateful to know you.
Thank you.